Right, no sooner than Chelsea land back from Poland, the transfer news is already heating up. Enzo Maresca now has the keys to the treasure chest, we are hoping. And he would have been opening a very different chest had we have not qualified for Champions League football. Qualifying for Champions League football and being able to offer European nights to potential incomings is going to make all of the difference, in my opinion. But one man that we have been linked with long before Champions League qualification was secured is Liam Delap. And we are going to start with the Ipswich striker today, who, wherever he goes, is definitely Premier League bound by the looks of things. Josh, I've got a very, very simple question to ask you, mate. With the European Cup that we won and the qualification for Champions League football, have we outgrown a Liam Delap signing, or do you think that's very harsh to suggest that?
I think it's really harsh. I think what we've lacked, and perhaps what we need in the Premier League, is another option, as well as Nicholas Jackson, to be able to compete in what is a very physical and very tough league. And what Liam Delap has done, playing for a relegated team in Ipswich, which, by the way, they finished 19th, didn't they? They didn't even make 18th. Has proven himself to be a very able and mobile and technically gifted player. I mean, look what he did against Chelsea. I mean, are the players ever going to forgive him for the penalty incident that he did against Jorgensen, where he very clearly dived, but it wasn't
Delap
given? Yeah, exactly. And I've heard he's got a wonderful throw in on him as well. But no, I think, look, 12 goals and 2 assists, I believe it was, in the league. For an Ipswich team which got relegated is more than ample data to be able to say that he can score goals in the Premier League.
That was in 32 starts as well.
There you
he was
go.
on the bench for 5 of those appearances. So 32 starts, what was it? 14 goal involvements.
14 goals, not bad, hey?
It's not bad.
It's not bad at all. And also, I think what no one is talking about is the next few years, Harry Kane is going to hang up his boots for England. He won't be able to play at the very top level in club competitions and internationals for that much longer. I would probably say, if I'm a guessing man now, what is it, 2025? By 2029, I don't think he is playing regularly for England, maybe even earlier than that, right? And the reason why I bring Harry Kane up, you might be asking, why is he involved in this, is that the next player off the rank that's going to be starting for England, bearing in mind that Watkins is already 30 years old, you know, Ivan Toney is already 30 years old, playing in Saudi Arabia, is Liam Delap. He will be starting for England. Now, if I said to you, imagine we go back 15 years, and I said to you, there's a guy on the bench for Leicester that is a really good player. It's not Jamie...
And Millwall, and Norwich, and Leyton Orient, and every fucker else.
It's not Jamie Vardy. It's actually Harry Kane. How mad is it, by the way, they were on the bench together for Leicester? It's what a crazy world that we live in. That you could sign a player like that and he could grow and progress with the club. You would, knowing what you know now, would sign him in a heartbeat. And he would have won a lot more than he won at Tottenham. So put it that way. So
I'll tell you something, though. You are slightly wrong on this. Because how old's Liam Delap? 22?
He's
21?
22.
22, is he?
Yeah.
There's a 23-year-old who statistically is a lot better.
Who's that?
Mason Greenwood. I ain't saying I want him, by the way, but you're... No, yes, it's a bit of a touchy one. But you're talking about England, yeah? You're talking about the man to fill...
Mason Greenwood, I don't think, is an out-and-out number 9 in the same way that
I do know what you mean with that one. Mason Greenwood, at this moment in time, though, I will argue, is a better player than Liam Delap.
I think what's interesting about this that you just mentioned is it's non-relevant anyway. I think he might have changed his allegiance.
Who, Mason Greenwood?
Yeah, I think he might have changed the nation that he's played for. Has he played more than 3 games? It has to be 3.
For
3
England.
competitive being the operative word.
Yeah.
Internationals.
Mason Greenwood, no, he's only made 1 appearance for England, so he could still represent anyone, really.
Yeah, I think he's had conversations with other nations, from what I've been told.
What nations?
I can't remember. This was a while ago. They were talking about this in the last international break. I think it's very unlikely he'll ever play for England again.
Either way, look, I think that physicality-wise, probably pace as well. Like, I'm not saying Mason Greenwood's not fast, but he's not a fast dribbler of the ball, really, at all times. And I think that Liam Delap would be more suited to a Chelsea football club than Mason Greenwood. I was just playing a bit of devil's advocate.
Yeah, what do we need? I think for a number 9, we
Big,
need...
strong lad, good hold-up play, and doesn't mind absolutely putting the fucking laces through it.
Yeah, and that's what he does really well. I had a look at his goal conversion stats recently, by the way, Liam Delap. I think he's got a better goal conversion rate than Hugo Ekitike, Victor Osimhen, Nicholas Jackson, and a couple of other targets that we were looking at as well. More than Benjamin Šeško as well. The only conversion rate that he doesn't have better than is Victor Gyokeres.
Well, can I give you the hot take?
Go on.
I've given you it before, and you know this already, but I'll just reiterate it. I don't really rate Benjamin Šeško. Like, I don't
You
look
never
at...
really have.
I've never really rated...
Which is mad.
I don't look at him and be like, you could start for a Real Madrid, you could start for a Barcelona, you could start
Right now
for...
is the operative thing you should say.
What?
What you mean is you don't see him starting for those teams right now.
Or in the future.
Really?
No.
Why?
I mean, what's he scored? 14 league goals this season.
You've never... Joey clearly here has never played Football Manager.
Yeah, but mate, come on. All right, what's he? 23 years old? 22 years old?
I think he's younger than that. Yeah.
Younger, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No,
Should have had it
22
up.
I think he is.
Okay, right. 14 league goals this season. Who was he playing for?
Leipzig.
Leipzig. Okay. Do you know how many goals Werner scored in a league season at that age for Leipzig?
Say that.
Well, no, it's true.
Go on,
It's
tell
true.
us. Tell us.
Over 30, I think.
Yeah.
Over 25.
Probably in a more
definitely.
functional Leipzig team. But yeah.
Nkunku?
Leipzig have had not had a
Sorry.
good season.
Nkunku?
Yeah, Nkunku.
Did he tear it up for Leipzig?
He did, yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Second striker.
Bundesliga. All right. Yeah, you got ones that have come from the Bundesliga and they have succeeded and they have done well, and I'll fully admit that.
Yeah.
Haaland being the key name here. But at the same time, Bundesliga doesn't always translate. Havertz was a goal machine. He hasn't come a... for me personally, I don't look at 14 league goals in the Bundesliga and feel blown away by that. I tell you what I do feel blown away by. 46 goal involvements in just 33 league games for Victor Gyokeres. By the way, when we talk about Victor Gyokeres, not only that, 8 goal involvements in 9 Champions League games, 7 of those goal involvements being goals themselves. Victor Gyokeres has now proved that he can do it at, I would say, elite level when you look at the fact that he's mixed it in the Champions League and whatnot. Obviously, I understand that Portugal isn't the same standard as English football, but I do think that it's a top 5 European league. I think it's quite competitive as well when you look at things. And not only that, he's got experience of not just playing in England, because you can have that experience of playing in England, right? And you have delivered at a lower level. So what I'm saying is, like, I think, and this will be a controversial take, but I think, right, if you made, I don't know, 20 appearances, yeah, let's call it 15 appearances for Man City, the treble winning side or something like that, right? I think if you made 15 appearances for them, most of them being off the bench, couple of starts here and there or whatever, right? I don't think you have prepared yourself for a real run at English football at another club as well as if you had made those 40-odd appearances for Coventry, which is what Gyokeres did.
So funny?
And that sounds mental to say that, by the way, because the level is such a drop-off.
Yeah.
But I'm on about, like, going through the school of hard knocks, and there's obviously the Harry Kane comparisons to be made there in terms of playing for smaller clubs in England and then stepping up to the plate.
And also, people are so downbeat on his time at Coventry, and they almost use that as a stick to beat him with.
Why? He was fucking well good.
And this is the thing, like, people go, oh yeah, it's only scoring for Coventry in the Championship. What does that matter? Scoring goals in the Championship against Championship defenders who are strong, more often beefier than a Premier League defender would be, is not easy. Especially for a young player to do. There's so many young, really high potential players, strikers, that have gone to go and play in the Championship and have done fuck all, done nothing in there, you know? Whereas this guy tore it up. And so I actually think that's a positive.
But also, mate, not just did he tear it up in the Championship for Coventry,
Yeah.
you could give me so many others, right, that have torn it up in the Championship. that either one, haven't translated it to the Premier League, or two, I don't believe. I don't know, I'm trying to think of someone off the top of my head now. Armstrong, Charlie Austin, someone like that, yeah. Say seasons when they've absolutely ripped it up. Timu, Pukki in the Championship.
They're all great players, by the way.
Good players.
Iconic.
I don't
Barclays
think they're
men.
then going and playing Champions League football in the next season for a team and in 33 appearances registering 46 goal involvements.
Yeah.
Like a team like Sporting Lisbon. I don't think they're doing that. So I think that straight away he's cut from a different cloth. When people make that Championship sort of comparison and they use it to put him down, no, I think he's cut from a completely different cloth to your average top scorer that's done it in the Championship. And I think he showed that this season. I think his physicality is something that we could really do with at Chelsea Football Club. And honestly, out of all the striking options, that's the one that for months I've been saying, and now's the time more than ever where I feel confident in backing what I've said for a long time.
Do you know what's so funny is today, we're recording this on Thursday the 29th of May. It's the day after the Conference League final. Today's the first time that we've had a flurry of news from Chelsea transfers to say, this is what's happening, this is what's going on, we've inquired about this player, etc., right? What I love about this is we have actually kind of kept the walled garden. We've kind of kept people away from hearing the true stories. We've heard over and over again that Victor Osimhen is the one they were looking out for. We heard so many rumours about Benjamin Šeško. Then there were all these rumours about Ekitike. What is so interesting is that basically we've kept what we needed to secret. Victor Gyokeres is the one that they seemingly are now really, really going for. And they've just signed the deal or looking to sign the deal for Delap. It might even be done by the time you guys are seeing this. So we've kept all of our targets really quiet. And what that has meant we can do is broker the deals in a really smart way. They've obviously been working on these for a very long time. And now we can get players that are elite level. More than anything on Gyokeres in particular, Joey, is that this guy, the goal record speaks for itself. And it is very simple to say this, right? But players that score goals more often than not can translate that into the Premier League. And with his CV in the Championship and the CV of his last couple of seasons, basically going to be leaving Sporting Lisbon as a legend, really. Do you know what I mean? He'll be leaving them as one of their best players, best strikers they've had in a very, very long time. I don't think you can belittle that level. He's also 26 years old, so he won't be like we're signing another 3-year-old player. Do you know what I mean? And he can come in and hit the ground running. I think the acquisition, if we do get this guy, is incredibly smart. And I think what it enables us to do is then have less pressure on Nicolas Jackson. And it also, therefore, means we might have less pressure to be able to get an elite left winger because we can play Jackson out there as well.
Yeah, and he's also not on high wages either. But before we move on to potential wingers, there's one more man, Ekitike.
Yeah.
What are you saying? Because
I liked him.
you like him,
I liked him.
but they're talking about a lot of money for this lad, aren't they?
They are. And by the way, I think they signed him from PSG for like less than 20 odd million, I think. I think it was a crazy low amount for
And how much? How
they
much?
want 100 million euros.
Right.
So it's going to be a lot of profit for them. Frankfurt are an incredibly well-run club. They are a selling club, but they sell for the right price and at the right time. They're usually pretty good with what they do. Ekitike is a really good option, but I don't know how well he fits into the Enzo Maresca system. And let me explain that. Enzo Maresca did an interview recently where he basically said, I want 2 Nicolas Jacksons, didn't he? And I think that was twofold. One, I think it was to say, I really like Nicolas Jackson and give him some self-confidence. And two, I think it was, I want a player that can hold up the ball, is mobile, everything that we've said, right? And Ekitike ticks a lot of those boxes, but what he isn't necessarily known for is his ability to hold on to the ball and be able to have balls pinged at him, bring it down, back to goal, that sort of football, right? And I feel that is probably the most important asset that we need out of our centre forward, because we're going to have Estavio coming in. We're going to have, Cole Palmer in behind. We're going to have new left winger. We're going to have Noni Madueke. We're going to have Enzo. All of these players want the ball led off to them and be able to sort of drive and score goals, right? And so if you have Ekitike, who is a really like a hybrid between a winger and a striker, much like Nicolas Jackson is, you're not really complementing those skills. And so with the wages, with the transfer fee, I think they've looked at that deal and potentially gone, it's not the best option. And ultimately, let's be honest, Delap is coming in, he's on 20 grand a week, right now at Ipswich. We're paying £30 million release clause. Victor Gyokeres, I think, was what, a €65 million release clause or something more, maybe slightly more than that.
I think it was 65 million.
65.
Gyokeres, yeah,
and he's
low
on
wages.
and he's on 46 grand a week base euros, right? So that's even like what, 40 odd grand, maybe even a bit less in pounds. Both of those are really low deals. I mean, all you've got to do, mate, is sell Nkunku, Sterling, and a Broja, for example, and we've made that money back, and we've definitely made the wages back, let alone a João Felix, etc. So I think it's very conceivable that we get those two strikers in, and I think really they are two very good out-and-out number 9s that are goal scorers, high conversion rate.
But just quickly, I want you to be honest with me. You've left it last minute, haven't you, to get your Father's Day present? And just so you remember, Father's Day's on the 15th of June, so it's literally right around the corner. But I'm going to make your life easier. Instead of shopping and thinking of different gifts you can get, just go to Manscaped. Because there, you can pick up the Beard and Balls bundle, which includes the Lawnmower 5.0 and the Beard Hedger that I can vouch your old man will absolutely love. And he'll be joining 12 million other men worldwide who trust Manscaped. And remember, you will get 15% off your order when you use my code JoeyKnight at manscaped.com. So within the Beard and Balls bundle, you have got the Beard Hedger for specific beard trimming and the Lawnmower 5.0 for everything below the belt. The Beard Hedger itself has actually got 20 adjustable settings, meaning your old man will always be looking on point. And the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra includes interchangeable foil and trimmer blades. Basically, that ensures a smooth and comfortable experience even in those sensitive areas. And both of these include skin-safe technology, meaning that you can reduce nicks and irritation, and you can groom with confidence where it matters the most. And they've both got great runtime with up to 60 minutes on the Beard Hedger and up to 75 minutes on the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. And both of these devices are waterproof, meaning you can use them in the shower and you can clean them afterwards. So hit the link in the description below so that you can give your dad the best gift he could possibly have from Manscaped this Father's Day. And remember, Joey Knight, all one word, all caps, for 15% off your order. Thanks again to Manscaped. Let's get back into the video.
And they convert the chances. We keep saying this over and over again. Do the players convert the chances that are creating for them? We are, by the way, Joey, third, I think, in the entire league. It might have actually been second, actually, for expected goals created. We are third in terms of like all of the assists and everything like that. Big chances, etc. Right? I could go on. Nicholas Jackson conversion rate in the Premier League was, I think, 13 to 14%.
It was one of the worst conversion rates for one of the highest ranking on big chances.
That's a big problem.
Yeah.
And I think Gyokeres and Delap solved that issue. To be fair,
I'd love it. I'd absolutely love it if we got
both
of them. One thing Brian said to me was that he thinks that Delap had met with Newcastle or representatives of Newcastle, and Delap's main thing was, I don't want to play second fiddle to someone. Which obviously at Newcastle we'd be playing second fiddle to Isaac.
Fair fucks. Fair play to the guy. And also I respect that. And also, by the way, let's be honest, right? If he wanted to play first fiddle, he could have easily gone to Man United, made more money than he would have made at Chelsea, and walked into the team. And he's made a decision for his own career to go, that is a basket case. I'm not going to get in the Newcastle team. Let's be honest, mate. He could have gone to Everton. He could have been the main man there. He could have gone... I mean, look, mate, let's be honest. He could have gone to Tottenham probably.
Mate,
he could have gone to any club he wanted to.
Even a Nottingham Forest.
He could have gone to any club.
I know Chris Wood's been brilliant, but...
Yeah.
Long-term wise, you can't hang your hopes on Chris Wood long-term. Like, he's been absolutely unreal this season, but Liam Delap could have gone there, walked straight in the starting line.
He backs himself. Ultimately, I love that as well, right? And also, it would be brilliant if we did sign Gyokeres and we signed Liam Delap. And Liam Delap is the one going, do you know what? I feel like I'm better than him. Like, I fucking respect that. A 21-year-old or 22-year-old guy coming in and saying, I need to be playing first fiddle. I respect it. I love the ability and the confidence that he has in him. And I think that confidence will mean that he'll be a very good number 9. So, look, I've said it all along. I do think that signing just makes sense. It's not a lot of money. If it doesn't work, we can sell him. Let's
move on to left-wing options because we've been linked with a couple of names. We've been linked with Jamie Gittens for absolutely ages now. As I'm saying this, Josh is just checking his phone to see if there's any updates. Obviously, another man we've been linked with for a long time, Nico Williams. However, today we're all of a sudden linked with Jeremy Doku, which I found a really, really strange one. Chelsea apparently have an interest in Jeremy Doku. I can't see it happening myself. I'm going to kind of pour cold water on it straight away. I mean, look.
What was the source?
What was the source?
Yeah.
Can
you remember?
I don't know. Can't remember. But I've seen it reported multiple different outlets and a couple of websites that are, you know, it wasn't reported on the back of a crisp packet or whatever. It's a couple of like fairly credible sources had reported that Chelsea have an interest in it. Obviously, look, I don't think that Jack Grealish is going to be at Man City next season, personally.
No.
I do know that they've got a rebuild job on. I think that with that rebuild job, you would imagine that Jeremy Doku would be in the plans of Pep Guardiola, although Pep's Pep and you just never know. You never know. Like, you just never know.
Maybe they need to sell players.
Well,
maybe the Grealish deal isn't enough.
Yeah.
But I have to say, like, we're talking about wages. He must be on a big packet at City. He must be earning a lot of money. And also, I don't know about you, Matt. I feel like City are shitting themselves about selling players to us now after what we did with Cole Palmer.
Do you rate him, Jeremy Doku?
I rate him in Chelsea's system. I think he'd work really well, actually.
Because I was about to say that. I was about to say, for Chelsea, I think he'd actually be really good.
Yeah.
By the way, like, obviously, we could never do it now because of the wage packet and whatever. And it's not to say I'd want him. I probably want Jeremy Doku over him. But, like, even Grealish at Chelsea, I wouldn't mind, mate. Like, I think Grealish is a good player. But I do think that Jeremy Doku could be good in the Chelsea system. I don't think that any explosive or creative wide player is utilised that well by Pep Guardiola. I think that the stats would show you. I mean, like, look at Raheem Sterling and Riyad Mahrez that season, yeah? So statistically, I feel like they can rack them up, but I just feel like there is a lack of freedom that you're allowed to play with. And I think that this is something that I would go against a lot of people in their opinions. And maybe their opinions have shifted slightly, but definitely at the start of the season, I was speaking to Leicester fans and they were saying, like, Enzo Fernandez doesn't give the players much Enzo Maresca doesn't give the players much freedom. I actually think he does. I think you see that last night in the Conference League final with Cole Palmer. And I think you've seen it across the season with players sort of driving forward, playing out of position. You know, you see Tosin Adarabioyo making crazy runs from centre-back and, you know, Cucurella playing as a fucking number 10 half the time. Like, I do think that he gives them the freedom to do that. So I think that any winger will be better for Chelsea potentially than they were for Man City individually in their performances. But it's just not one that I can see happening. 9 goal involvements this season, couple less than than he got in his first season. It is quite low, isn't it? So why don't you speak to me about who you think out of Gittins, Williams or Jeremy Doku is the most realistic that we will bring in? Because I do think that left wing is an area that we are going to address, isn't it?
I mean, Gittins is the most realistic out of all of them, to be fair. He's a young guy. He won't be on big wages. Also, there's a deal to be done with Dortmund, isn't there? There's a deal because obviously Carney's going to go the other way.
In terms of Carney going the other way.
Yeah.
And also, potentially, in terms of us giving them Jadon Sancho.
Well, Jadon Sancho, by all accounts, and breaking news is that he won't be signed by Chelsea and that he's going back to United.
Right.
So don't necessarily feel that will be part of it, but it could be. I mean, I did a tweet, don't know, about 2 months ago where I said that it would be so Chelsea if we signed Jadon Sancho for 25 million and sold him for 26 the next day to Dortmund. But I could see it. The Williams one, we know how good he is. I mean, this guy we're talking about is elite, world-class level of left wingers. The problem is obviously the wages. I mean, he's going to want 250 north grand a week in wages, and I don't think that Chelsea want to be paying that kind of money for anyone. We've seen it with the Osimhen deal. Cold water's obviously just been clearly poured on that, and I don't think they want to have the discussion between a Caicedo and an Enzo and a Cole Palmer that say, look at how well we've been performing and we deserve to be on that kind of money as well, especially if you bring Williams in. Now, if Williams has a change of heart and, you know, teams like Arsenal and whatever, Barcelona and Real Madrid don't necessarily want him, then obviously there's a discussion to be had there. The problem is with Bilbao is that they obviously want to keep those players because they can only sign players from that region, and therefore they pay a premium for those players. They often have very high wages in comparison. So there might be a situation in which he just stays where he is, to be fair. But it's clear that he's a very good player. It's clear that we really like him. I just think that the wages might be the one that we're going for. There may be another left winger option that emerges. And also, again, I keep saying it, but I still think Jackson as a left winger option might be the one that we end up going for, to be fair.
And as well, like, I know, you know, sometimes on the right wing, sometimes centre attacking midfield. I do feel like until Esteval gets here, we don't know where he's going to play. No. We don't know how he's going to fit in. Just because, like, when, especially with a young player, when there's not much data to go on, just because we've seen him played primarily in one position, that could be due to the fact that we don't even know the club that well in terms of we don't watch him week in, week out, and they're really strong in other positions and they don't need him, and that's where he fits for that club. But it's not to say he couldn't come in and play left wing for us. So I do think that number 9 and left winger are the two sort of positions we've spoke about, but I think that out of the 3 positions that need addressing, in my opinion, 4 if you include goalkeeper, but we've already got a ready-made answer for that in Petrovic. Out of the 3 positions, I would go number 9, left wing, centre-back. I think left wing is the one with the least importance for us at this moment in time, but
mainly because, Joey, we should say that Mykhailo Mudryk, who was in Poland, looking very happy, was with our friend Matt Dav in a pub, is obviously going to be coming back. He seems very happy.
Well, do you know, he actually could have got Chelsea in a bit of hot water for that, by the way.
No. Why?
Because he's in this ain't
Chelsea
me being
club
a fucking
clothing.
This ain't me being like
being a little grass.
No, he should be in no hot water at all. He done the right thing. He's in his eyes, he's innocent. Yeah. Not saying in mine he's not, but in
the law,
yeah. In his eyes, he's innocent, and he's gone out there. He's supporting the club. He knows that he is suspended, which means, like, you know, he can't be sat on the bench. He can't be whatever. But in the same way that maybe he's not been too thorough with what goes in and out of his body, No, I'm being deadly serious,
You're horrible.
No, I'm not being horrible. I'm not being out of order. I'm not being out of order. I'm saying in the same way that he clearly hasn't been all that thorough with what he's digesting and what's going in and out his body, I don't think he's been
done his research.
I don't think he's been too thorough into the conditions of the suspension.
Can I just say,
because I don't think the conditions of the suspension means you can rock up in a Chelsea kit and be out there for the final, whether you're with the fans or not. I love to see it, by the way. I love to see it. It's proper Chelsea, but I wouldn't be surprised. Listen, what do we know? There's a media narrative against Chelsea Football Club.
Yeah.
And if you go by that logic, you never know whether there's also a narrative and a feeling by the powers that be. Yeah. And if they're anything like the media, then there will be. So what I'm saying is they can give him another slap on the wrist for that. They probably fucking will.
Do you know what I found the saddest part of all of this is that, I don't know if you remember the goal that he scored against Heidenheim, but it was definitely one of the best goals in the Conference League. And for him not to be able to go up there and collect his medal with the squad, I found that a fucking disgrace. And if he does get vindicated as being innocent, I hope he fucking goes for UEFA. I hope he goes for all of these organisations.
Well, the mad thing is, obviously, like, our player of the Conference League, and we started to field stronger teams as things went on. So it kind of is hard to put it down to one individual player. I'm sure Caicedo's performances and stuff like that.
I know who I'd give it to.
Who would you give it to?
Mark Guehi.
Would you actually?
He was the top goal scorer in the competition, wasn't he?
I'm
definitely the top goal scorer for Chelsea.
I thought Nkunku might have scored more than him. No,
I think we discussed this in an episode, didn't we? I thought we discussed it and we said that Mark Guehi. I thought it was Nkunku as well.
So I personally would look at it, and obviously I would maybe sentimental wise give it to like a Kiernan Dewsbury Hall, for example. Yeah, a little bit of a participation medal, but at the same time, you've been good, you've been reliable in the competition when called upon, and you've been called upon 90% of the time, apart from, you know, last night we've actually got to go and win the match. But in those early games, group stages, period of the competition, I was looking at it and I was thinking, this is Mudryk's tournament. He was ripping it up. There was every chance that he could have been playing in that final last night. But I don't know. With the talk of signing a left winger, I'm not sure with Mudryk. What I do think is that in boxing, you always get time served, basically, and he's basically served a year now. So if he gets a 2 year,
by the time he comes back,
if he gets a 2 year ban, he'd probably be back by Christmas.
Why? Because he'll appeal and it will go slightly down. Because 2 years would be not this November, the November following, right?
Yeah, but you serve a year. 2 years is a year.
Okay, yeah, fine.
It's like a prison sentence.
Yeah, fine.
That's what it's the same. It's the same with drug bans in boxing and stuff. It's like a prison sentence.
So literally,
you'll
you
serve
get
half.
half.
You'll serve half.
Okay,
of it
fair
a lot
enough.
of the time. Yeah,
that's good. Honestly, now I feel Chelsea are going to have to know more than we do, right? I hope they do. I hope Chelsea know more. If they do, and they know that Mykhailo Mudryk is going to be anywhere near coming back at next season, I feel there'll be less pressure. Bearing in mind we've got Quenda coming in the season after, so I do think there's a situation where we don't necessarily go in for a left winger, especially with Jackson.
So I spoke about the defence. Should we finish off speaking about a couple of centre backs?
Got some breaking news, Joe. Got some breaking news. We have officially inquired for Branthwaite.
We've inquired for him.
Officially inquired. The good news on Branthwaite is that he's only got 12 months left on his contract. Did you know that?
Ooh, that's tasty.
He's not on a lot of money at Everton because he was a relatively new signing and a relatively junior signing when they brought him in. And so I do think there's something in that. There's something about Branthwaite, which I'm getting John Stones kind of vibes. But John Stones with a sort of a bigger frame.
He's a unit, Branthwaite. And this is one of the things...
He scored a good goal against us, do you remember that?
Yeah, and this is one of the things we were saying about like Nottingham Forest, for example, right? That was one of the things that I was never that worried during the match, but I was quite worried with the amount of corners they were getting because I was thinking it's a big group of boys and we're not very aerially dominant. Like we ain't got much of an aerial presence. That's why Tosin was probably picked for that game. Branthwaite would go a long way to solving a few of those problems. Not only that, systematically, I feel like Branthwaite could be a good one in terms of I think he could make up a back three, especially sort of in attack when we're in position quite well, Jared Branthwaite. So that's definitely one. And obviously also, you know, you could counter it by saying more inexperienced, but a little bit younger, which we know our board like, than Mark Guehi. Because Mark Guehi's another man that we've been linked with. Mark Guehi's a man that you feel if they were to do a deal for Trevor Chalobah could be involved in that. Who do you think's more likely out of Branthwaite and Guehi, and who would you rather out of the two of them?
I think Guehi is so tough, isn't it? Because I feel like in a weird way they would acknowledge failure in buying him back after selling him.
I don't think they would because they didn't sell him.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair play, right? But I then think, I know that he's immense quality, Guehi. He's going to be playing for England. You could argue he'd be playing above Levi Colwill, arguably, and you know, on the form of his entire season. I don't agree with that, but I feel like there's an argument to be made on that. Ultimately, they'll probably end up playing together. I think with Guehi, there isn't an injury concern. Branthwaite, potentially, there's more of an injury worry with him. I think both of them have got immense quality. I think both of them will end up playing quite regularly for England. Arguably, all three will end up playing. I mean, let's be honest, with the left-back issue that we got right now, Levi Colwill might end up being the nominal left-back for England, and we're basically playing a back three again, aren't we, under Tommy? So, yeah, do you know what? I'm in a weird position with these guys where I don't really care which way we go. I think both of them are going to be really, really good. You know, with Mark Guehi, you've got the captaincy ability that he's got. You know that you've got a big background of playing in the Premier League and being at Chelsea as well, and that means so much. But with Branthwaite, you've got an absolute fucking unit, which we, quite frankly, we need. Like, I know what you're saying about Tosin. We looked so much better when he was playing. Branthwaite has got all of that sort of like physical ability, but he also is a fucking good passer of the ball as well. He's very good with both feet. He is left-footed, which is worth considering. You know, some managers don't want two left-footers at the back, which is a fair point to make, but I don't necessarily worry about that too much, and I feel like he's going to grow and develop.
Do you know what the age difference is between Branthwaite and Guehi?
Is Branthwaite 21 or 22?
So Branthwaite would be 23 by the time he could make a Premier League appearance for Chelsea.
Okay, so yeah, 22 now. Yeah,
22 now.
And Guehi is 26?
No. This is what actually just really surprised me when I've looked at it. I would have thought that. I'd have thought Guehi was 26. He is 24 right now.
Okay.
His birthday's in July. So by the time he made a
25.
Premier League appearance for the second time for Chelsea, it'd be a 25-year-old. So when I was looking at it, when I sort of looked at the age, I thought, if there's four years in it or so, Branthwaite was a little bit older than I was expecting him to be. I thought he was going to be 20 or 21. I thought if there's 4 years in it or so, I'd probably, no, not even probably, I would favour Guehi, because I'm like, right, okay, we need experience. We do need experience. That's not something we can deny. However, this is probably a little bit controversial coming off the back of pretty much stellar performances in the Euros when he was picked, Mark Guehi, and a season where he's won a domestic cup. And that would lead me to say that he is more experienced 100% than Branthwaite. But age-wise, there's not that much in it. There's not that much in it. And that makes me kind of feel the same as you, as like, as long as it's one of them,
Yeah.
as long as it's one of them, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, and the bad news for us really is that Bayern are now apparently very interested in Mark Guehi, and it seems like when Bayern are in for you, you tend to go there. Look at Elise, look at Harry Kane even. So
Crystal Munich.
Crystal, that's what they call him.
Crystal Munich. They're in for Eze as well, apparently.
Yeah, well, there you go. Eze would be so good for Bayern Munich.
Eze would be so good for us.
I'd love to bring Eze in.
Yeah.
I don't know if he'd get in the team, but I'd like to see him play.
No, I'd bring him all in.
Do you know what? Like, this is the thing. I'm very excited about Branthwaite. I'm very excited about Guehi. I wouldn't mind, as you say. The interesting news is that it's not just those boys that we're in for in terms of centre-backs. We're also in for Gerald Hatto.
Right.
Have you heard about this guy?
No.
He is the Eredivisie's best player this year. He's 19, so very interesting. He is probably in his later career going to become a centre-back, but he's been playing at left-back for Ajax. And the reason why you should be excited about this is because it provides ample backup for a Marc Cucurella. And we really need a backup left back in the mould of a Malagusto. Question mark whether Malagusto will be in the team next year. By the way, just on that, I want to just make this clear now and put this out there in terms of transfer news. I have a very strong feeling that Gusto will be sold this summer.
I've got that feeling.
And in a weird way, I love Malagusto. I think he's a very good right winger. Really good right winger. Love the way he crosses the ball. Not sure about him as a centre mid.
I don't want him to go.
I don't want him to go either.
I don't want him to go.
I don't want him to go either. But Joey, does he fit into the system?
Not really at the minute, no.
And does Joshua Champong fit better?
Yeah.
Let Josh be the number 2.
Yeah.
Let Josh do it.
We're going to speak about Josh Champong in our end of seasons award video. I've just been sort of weighing everything up in my head as we were talking there.
Go on.
And I'm for me, I said I'm not bothered. I'm kind of not really bothered, but for me, it's Mark Guehi. When you were talking, I was listening to you, but at the same time, I was just thinking, the champions, do. And as I was picturing that Champions League theme song, I just saw Mark Guehi in the Chelsea shirt.
Do you know what it is for me is Mark Guehi next season would be better than Jared Branthwaite in the Champions League. Absolutely. In 5 seasons' time, I actually think Branthwaite might be better. Yeah. So I'm almost now I'm now maybe a little bit more on the Branthwaite train. I didn't know this when we were talking about this like 4 weeks ago. Branthwaite was mentioned. I was a bit like, fuck off. Why are we even thinking about him? 12 months left on the contract, not going to cost a load of money.
I think Mark Guehi's got 12 months left as well, is he not?
But Crystal Palace are going to want more money.
Yeah.
Crystal Palace are not going to let him go for a cheap amount. And also, he's probably got more
I
interest.
wouldn't necessarily say you're right there in terms of Crystal Palace wanting more money.
Crystal Palace are going to want more money from Mark Guehi than Branthwaite.
I think you'd be surprised.
Really?
Whether what they want and what they get is 2 different things. I think you'd be surprised. I think each man probably moves for 45 million.
Yeah, I could see that. Maybe Branthwaite will be on less money.
Of overpaying a little bit for Branthwaite on that, but the age and knowing what Chelsea, every club sees Chelsea coming. Not in a thing of, we get our pants pulled down, but like if we were going for Osman with his age, I mean, Napoli are very hard to negotiate with, but if we were going for Osman with his age, I think that if we said, look, this is our limit, this is our final offer, they wouldn't really try and budge us too much. But I feel like when it's a really young player, they'll always think, nah, we can get him. I mean, Benfica did it to us, Benzo Fernandes. No one cares because he's absolutely brilliant. But either way, that's where we stand on that one. That is all we're going to cover in today's transfer news episode. But watch out for tomorrow because we are going to be dropping our end of season awards and I cannot wait for that one. It's going to be another banger. Make sure you're subscribed, like the video. We will see you all in the next one.